matchup in college football this weekend. Georgia hosts Alabama in Athens. Georgia hasn't won a national title in 35 years despite a wealth of talent coming through the program. USA Today Sports profiled Georgia's program earlier this week in the perception that they hold themselves to a higher standard than the programs they annually face on the field, making it harder to compete with other powerhouse programs. Richard Tucker, a member of Georgia's Board of Regents and a prominent supporter of the Bulldog program, had this to say. I think as a rule, our fans are somewhat disappointed we haven't achieved championships. But also, as a rule, I think they're by and large immensely proud of what we have done. I'll take any day, any time, the way Coach Mark Richt coaches, what he believes in, and how he runs his program. Where we are based on that, I'm very satisfied. What would it take to get to that next level? We may get there under those guidelines. We may set the standards for how programs should be run. Richt calls the higher standard of conduct the Georgia way. Regardless, how much pressure is on Mark Richt to get the win this weekend, Stephen A.?
I think there's immense pressure on him. I think they're like 17-23 going against top 15 opponents in his career, if I remember correctly. Obviously, they don't have a national championship in quite a long time, spanning 20 years. Florida and Florida State has one, LSU, Alabama, of course. The list goes on and on. Auburn has captured one. I mean, you just look at the landscape evolving around him when you consider the fact that Georgia is such a hub for young marquee talent, and Alabama, that's one of its main recruiting grounds, and you're Georgia with the talent that you have at your disposal. It comes a point in time where Mark Richt has to step up and simply get it done. And the fact of the matter is that hasn't happened as of yet. They are the favorites tomorrow afternoon. They should win this game against Alabama. When you got Nick Chubb, when you got Lambert playing at quarterback the way that he's been playing, Skip, and he's been very, very impressive. You look at Malcolm Mitchell, you got an experienced wide receiver. You look at those two outside linebackers on the defensive side of the ball that really can get after the quarterbacks, and Leonard, I believe, in Jenkins. And you know, the bottom line is this. When I look at Georgia, there is no reason that they should lose this game. They should win this game tomorrow, because I'm not high on Coke at Alabama. I don't think they have a quarterback. I think all they have is Derrick Henry, for crying out loud, on the offensive side of the ball, particularly with Amari Cooper being gone. And obviously, even though they're strong, Georgia, at their outside linebacker spot, they're a little bit thin at the inside linebacker spot because of some departures. So that means that Derrick Henry should be able to run the ball effectively and do some damage. I'm just of the mindset, however, that Georgia is deeper. They have better all-around talent, meaning on both sides of the ball. They're on their home turf. They should win. But I'm of the mindset, Skip, I'm still going with the Tide. Roll Tide. And here's why. Because when I think about that article that y'all alluded to, you know what it hit me? You know where it hit me, Skip? I felt like Georgia was putting forth an ingrained excuse. In other words, we don't have this level of success because we try to do things the right way. We're the upstanding ones. And we're the one that, you know, with their Georgia-sponsored rule where we're talking about how players, you know, thrown out of a school for, you know, domestic violence or sexual assault, something like that, you don't get to transfer to another school within the SEC, and how the Pac-12 is considering that. The problem that I have with that, Skip, is that it doesn't speak to innocence or guilt. What it speaks to is that if you're even associated with such an allegation, you get thrown out of your school, then nobody should be allowed to pick you up. And that's what Georgia is trying to do, and, you know, they're proud of that, and that's fine. But in the end, what it comes down to is this. You're trying to use that as an excuse for not getting the job done when you are in a hub and marquee talent is coming your way, and you still have the talent to deliver the goods, and you have not done so. They should win tomorrow night. They really should. If I had to bet my money, it would be on them. But something tells me Alabama is going to win this game, because Georgia, led by Mark Richt, who seems to be a very nice man, by the way, simply finds a way to get in their own way.
They find a way not to win big games. I agree. Last night, I tried to make a case for Georgia. I actually went to sleep last night thinking I'm going to pick Georgia, and I'm with you. it boils down to Nick Saban versus Mark Richt. I think I got to go with Nick Saban in this kind of a game of this magnitude. I was shocked this morning to realize Mark Richt is in his 15th season at Georgia. 15 years. And he has averaged 3.4 losses per those 14 years he's been there. Really? That's incomprehensible to me that a school that is that kind of a pipeline of talent to the NFL,
yep.
Right now they're tied for 4th of most NFL players, would allow that man to last that long, and he's a really good man. Good man with good, strong character and
really
foundation.
Really nice
I get all that. And they did have a Nick Marshall. They dismissed him, and he went to Auburn and had a good career, obviously. Zach Mettenberger, they dismissed. He went to LSU. That Jonathan Taylor, they dismissed, and for a brief while, he was at Alabama. We get that. But in the end, it's about wins and losses. And the best, he had one-loss year. All the way back in 2002, they wound up finishing 3rd in the nation that year. Then they finished 2nd in the nation in 2007, having lost to South Carolina and at Tennessee during that regular season. So this is a big deal for Mark Richt. I could see where he would really be on the hot seat if they lose this game. If they win it, then they would have a shot to go ahead and win out. Then they would probably, I'm just guessing, have to play Ole Miss in the SEC championship game, and then we would see what would happen. But I still like Alabama. I thought Nick Saban made the mistake at Ole Miss. Remember what he did? He started Cooper Bateman, the backup, over Jake Coker. What are you doing, Nick? This is the best defense you're going to face all year, and you're throwing some kid cold in there? Why would you do that? I couldn't. That was mind-blowing to me. I think Jake Coker is a pretty good college quarterback, and I think he'll be pretty good against Grayson Lambert tomorrow. And I think that Alabama defense will just shut down Chubb. And it's like a meat and potatoes sort of offense that is made to order for Alabama to have for lunch and dinner, actually. So,
well, listen, you got Leonard Floyd, you got this kid Jenkins. They can make some noise. Skip, Georgia's got some dude, Dominique Sanders, who seems to be a playmaker. He's got 2 interceptions. You know, he's got 2 interceptions already in return, both, combined for 121 yards. He seems to be a difference maker on the defensive side of the ball. We'll see what Georgia is capable of doing. But in the end, I think it comes down to Derrick Henry's ability to run the football on Georgia in the inside, okay? Yeah. Because you know those outside linebackers will get to Coker or Bateman. You just got to believe that will happen. Whether it's Leonard Floyd or Janoris Jenkins, you got to believe that one, or Jordan Jenkins, you got to believe that one of them are going to get to him. But on the inside, running between those tackles, I think Derrick Henry could do that. If he can run by, and I don't think Nick Chubb, as great as he is going to be able to do that against Alabama's defense.
Nope.
I don't see that happening. So, again, to me, if you're going to beat Alabama, you've got to beat it with Lambert throwing the football, all right? And you've got to neutralize their running game in the process. The combination of those two things happening to Nick Saban in a game like this, I can't bet my money on it. I just can't do it. I can't do it.
3-1 Alabama is a 2-point underdog on the road against undefeated Georgia. That game Saturday, 3:30 Eastern. We will all be watching. Bart Scott went in on Tom Brady. Wait till you hear what he had to say about Brady off the field. That's next. Can't wait.